because I was worried about all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? If I just focus on what God wants me to do, focus on his word, focus on getting the word to people, then everything else is going to come, right?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another glorious episode of the Tabernacles podcast, where we meet God through the person of Jesus Christ.
Yes. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 21. Episode 21 of the Tabernacles podcast. I'm Wiggy, and that's Vic. And we're your girls.
Hello.
If you are watching on YouTube, do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe. And what do the kids say? Hit the notification bell so you know when we drop a new video. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave us a review. Tell us what your favorite episode is. You can do that on YouTube too. On Spotify, I don't know about a review, but leave us a rating. Rate us 5 stars. Come on, don't give us any less than that. Don't be a hater. Okay.
Don't be a hater all your life.
Don't be a hater. Yeah. So I'm gonna pray very quickly.
Yes.
Just so that dear Lord, we love you. We praise you. We just humble ourselves before you in the fact that we know we don't know anything and we only know what you tell us. So we just ask that the Holy Spirit speak through us tonight and that it's a great conversation and that whoever's listening is blessed by the words that we say. If they don't feel blessed by it, have them leave us a comment and tell us why. All right. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So let's begin with our highs and tries because we didn't do a segment last week.
Oh, yeah.
Vic, let's start with you. What is your high of the week?
I took a mental health day.
Oh, yes. We love a mental health day.
That was fun.
Yes.
And my job's cool about those, so that's even better.
Do they have them like in, you know how like you have your vacation days? Are they called mental health days?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. I like that.
And then my try, your girl's been tired, like working and like recording, working and just like doing stuff after work. I'm not used to it yet at all. I know it's like week 3, but I don't care. I'm not used to that. So by the time I get home, I'd be knocked out. I love my job. Will keep my job forever if I could.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I get home, I am in the bed at like minimum 5:30.
Wow. You think it's because you get up early though too?
Yeah.
Like it's like you start early, so it's like by the time that day is over, it's like I'm done. Like there was no break really. Yeah. When you have those full days, it's like go to bed early because you got to get up early.
Yeah.
Let's see about me. I don't know. Honestly, y'all, I know these weeks should be running together. What happened?
Honestly.
What was this week? Oh, happy Valentine's Day. It was Valentine's Day week. To the lovers out there, Vic had a date with her husband.
Yeah.
I had a date with Wingstop. That's what I did. It was amazing. But you know what? My high is the Wingstop, but my try is also the Wingstop because I've been very undisciplined lately and I've been eating everything. Like on Valentine's Day, in addition to the Wingstop, I also had 3 Krispy Kreme donuts in one setting. No, I did like 1.5 in one setting and 1.5 in the other setting. The settings were like 3 hours apart. What else did I eat? Yesterday I ate like 2 things, like these little mini cheesecakes. I'm just out of control. And I don't, my body actually feels disgusting because there's this shift in my, in my 30s. Because now I'm like, dang, I'm really in my 30s because I'm going to be 32 this year. But in my 30s, I cannot eat whatever I want. Mm-mm. It's not even about like a weight gain thing because I will gain weight easier, but I'll just be like inflamed, like bloated, and then I won't feel good. Like my stomach hurts right
Mm.
now actually because I just been eating nonsense and I need to go on like a juice or a smoothie fast or something or water, something just to clean
Yeah.
house because well, yeah, just I feel icky. But was it good going down?
Of
Yes.
course it was. It's Wingstop.
But was I being gluttonous? Yes, I was. Because I was eating. I know I'm being gluttonous when I'm eating when I'm not hungry.
Ah, that's fair.
Yeah. And when I don't, that's always been like my diet, like a lifestyle. I don't eat if I'm not hungry. If you do that, you will always maintain. But you be
Yeah.
eating when you're not hungry, you usually be eating snacks,
Just to
donut,
eat because
especially
we're
donuts.
bored.
Donuts, bro. 3 donuts. They were so
See,
good.
so my husband and I, whenever we get donuts, it's so rare that when
Yeah,
we
me too.
get donuts, we eat
Yeah, yeah,
donuts.
yeah. You
And I
indulge.
mean, like, and I don't feel bad afterwards. Like, I had old fashioned donut, a blueberry cake donut, some donut holes,
Ooh, yum.
a cinnamon roll thing, and then
Yeah, that's a lot of
like
sugar.
a kolache or like a pig is in a blanket, right? And he had two or whatever. But like when we go get donuts, we're getting donuts to the point where we don't want donuts for like a good while after that.
Where do y'all get donuts from?
We have like a donut shop up the street.
Oh, okay. I feel like I can hear myself in your audio. I don't know if I should be turned down or
Oh, I
turn
could
around
turn you down.
just a little bit. Because I had to do that earlier too with you. I forgot it was all the way up. Anyway, the audience doesn't care about that. But yeah. So this week we don't have anything super philosophical. We're out of poetry. We are in First Kings and Second Chronicles, and we actually will enter into Second Kings. I love this portion of the books. You know, first the Kings and Chronicles. Has anybody made a movie about this stuff yet?
Bro,
'Cause
I
I
was
need
thinking
it.
about, I was like, this is good.
It's like
Like
a
the
medieval,
storyline.
bruh.
But
It's
also though, I was like somebody needs to make an allegory like
mhm.
of it, an allegorical movie of it and like set it in the Bronx or something because
Mm.
it's giving rival
Mm.
gang
I was about to say
situation.
somebody can do it, but like with gang members.
Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, honestly, that is a good idea. You should actually maybe like write that or something. I know you're really busy, but you
I'm
have the
good.
gift of this what was it, the screenplay?
Somebody somebody out there in the
Somebody should do
podcast
it.
fair
Somebody
needs
should
to
do
do it.
it. And
Not
you
me.
should give somebody some credit. Maybe here, donate to, we don't have anything set up yet, but donate to us. But I'm like really into like Lord of the Rings type Game of Thrones stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this could be like a Game of Thrones type. Like this, they can make this a TV show and people would
Oh
watch
yeah.
it and people wouldn't even care if it was from the Bible or not. You wouldn't even have to tell them. I would know because I'd be like, this is the story.
Right. This sound like
But
this
there's
king,
so
that king.
it doesn't matter if it mentions God because there are so many shows that are set in that time. There was a show, it was called like The Spanish Princess or something like that. It came on one of those channels, HBO, Showtime, or Stars, one of those shows. I mean, one of those channels. And they mentioned God all the time. The people were like Catholic. It was like a thing. It was about, I mean, it was fiction, but I was like, nobody was like, oh my God, they're talking about
Right.
God. We can't like, it was a crazy show. There was stuff happened. It was like real life, but so
Mm-hmm.
is Kings. It's real life, real deal people
Yeah.
doing the most. Um,
Literally.
yeah.
Including
So,
Mr. Elijah, sir.
oh my gosh, yes, we're gonna get to Elijah, one of my
Yeah.
favorite people. He's really funny.
He
He is
was my
funny.
favorite person until this reading.
Really? Is it because
Yeah.
he's mean? He is a little mean. He's like kind of like actually like a.
No, he's just dramatic.
Oh yeah, he's. That could be why I like him. Am I the drama?
He's petty.
Because when my boy was like, I just want to die under the tree, I was like, yes.
Bro.
Okay,
He was getting on my nerves. Anyway.
we probably will get to Elijah pretty quick. Okay, so the way we ended episode 20, I believe, we had just talked about the old prophet and the shenanigans he had.
Mm.
Also, everybody in this episode may be in the intercessory prayer. Most people, except for like 2 people. So just bear with us. Maybe 2, maybe 2, 3. And I'm going to say that's, nope, 4. Even though one of them really wasn't doing the right thing. But he did in the eyes of the Lord. And I talk about Jehoshaphat. King Asa was good. King Jehoshaphat was good. For the most part, King Jehoshaphat was good, even though he was a little naive. Elijah, good. Elisha, good.
For the most part.
Everybody else, really terrible. Well, in comparison, really terrible.
But like Elijah needs to be an intercessory prayer too. So there's that.
Well, okay, so the whole episode is intercessory prayer.
Honestly, because bruh, everybody in this story is be tripping.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Which is why I feel like it should be a TV show. Not even a movie. You can't even get to everything in a movie. A series. Give me at least one season.
Like, I'd even be down for a limited series because at the end of the day, it does end. But like,
they can make it longer if they just go. I mean, come on, somebody make the Bible into a show. The Chosen, you did a good job about Jesus. I need it from the beginning.
Yeah,
I need seasons. I want. Dang, why don't I know how to make movies? I should do it, but I don't have time.
Yeah,
but
you should.
That would be a great idea. Let's just do the Bible in a TV show and be real.
Yeah.
And like really just plain as day how it is. That would be amazing. I would watch it. I would watch it. I will invest if you have that. Okay. So where are we starting? At this time, I believe the kingdom of Israel is in the hands of Jeroboam. That's where we last we're talking.
And Abijah? And Abijah's in Judah? No. Yes.
Yes. Has Rehoboam died already?
Yes. It started off in like the 18th year of Jeroboam's reign. Yes. Then talked about Abijah.
Yes. You know what's funny? One of my in Kings, it said Abijah, right? But then in one of my resources, it said Abijam, and I was like, "Am I looking at the right thing?" Like it added an M.
Yeah. So in the NLT, it showed like, because that's why I read it in the app and be like opening all the little tabs or whatever. But it was like it's Abijah, but it got translated weird.
I see. Yeah, I can see. Okay, I can see that.
But yeah, it's Abijah.
But yeah, so
and now after trying to learn Hebrew, I can understand why it gets translated weird.
And there's so many
ends of words, like, so when certain letters have a stop at the end, like Abijah, that open sound, that open vowel sound, it's sometimes they'll have like an extra letter that means that it's a closed vowel sound or like an ending vowel sound, and sometimes it looks like the letter of M. So I can understand why it got translated weird, because that could possibly be the thing. Like, I was like, this is crazy.
That's a lot. That is. It is. Okay. You know what else is confusing? Jeroboam had a son named Abijah too. So it's like, wait, there was a king? Because they talk about Jeroboam's son because Jeroboam's son died.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, sorry guys. It could be tricky, but in my notes, it starts off with Jeroboam. What was going on? There was something going on, And that's what was going on. The son is dying. And Jeroboam's like, go find the man of the Lord and ask him what's going to happen to my son. Bad move. So he goes to the prophet Ahijah. This is before Elijah enters. And Ahijah's actually blind. He can't even see who's running up on him. But the Lord tells him, hey, Jeroboam's wife is coming. She wants to know about her son. You go tell her some bad news. And the bad news is basically like your whole clan, your whole family is going to get wiped out. And wife, when you go back to tell him this, as soon as you step into the city, your son is going to die. But I will give him the only proper funeral of your whole family because he don't really deserve this, but he's part of your family, so it kind of sucks. And it was because if y'all remember from, I forgot what, I guess that was last episode, Jeroboam was placed as king over Israel when God took the 10 tribes from Solomon because Solomon.
Yeah.
And then Jeroboam messed it up. Like you can't even stand like what's that TikTok? It's like stand up, like you can't even stand up. Like, bro, what? Why? Like, you did way worse than anybody else. Like, he was the beginning of Israel. Like, Israel never had one good king, ever. Not the northern, kingdom of Israel. Judah had maybe a few so good kings.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, Israel just was wilding out. Completely. So, yeah, at that time, that happens. And then Jeroboam, I forgot how he died, but he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He reigned from 1930 to 909 BC. He's out of there.
I actually don't remember how he died.
I don't know.
So many people lived and died in this section of time.
Yes, y'all.
So I have all of their random deaths in my head. One dude died of a foot disease, another dude died because he fell through something. Like a whole bunch of stuff.
And then some people, like you said, it doesn't say how they die. Some people it's like, and the rest of his you'll hear this statement a lot when you read Kings or Chronicles, I guess for that matter. Mm-hmm. It'll be like such and such reigned for this many years. And he went to lay with his ancestors, or he rested with his ancestors, and such succeeded him. Like, I guess he just died.
The rest of the story is in this book. That's not the Bible.
Yes. You know what else?
Read it over there.
You know what else is an interesting term to me? Resting with your ancestors. I don't know why that keeps springing up to me. That that's just such an interesting phrase. And he rested with his ancestors. Like, okay, are they resting? Are y'all resting? What's happening? It sounds like such a it sounds like such a like the new age people steal that. It sounds like such a new agey type.
Yeah.
That woke type of person, like my ancestors, me. I prayed in my ancestors. Not that they prayed to ancestors, Wakanda. But it's very why do we have to mention that he rested? I guess just another way of saying that he died, but it's an interesting way to say that he died because you could just say he died. That he, it's easy to say. Yeah, I feel like in the Bible it's been said, and he died rather than, and he rested with his ancestors. But that's just a little random tangent. So I do have fun facts kind of about each of the king, but not a lot of ones. King Rehoboam of Judah before King Abijah, is that am I saying it right? He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord too, and he built high places, sacred pillars, Asherah poles, and he did everything that was detestable. King Abijah of Judah reigned from 913 to 910, so only 3 years. He actually went to war with Jeroboam.
Yeah. Wasn't he the one that was like, Jeroboam, you're trash and God don't like you no more, so we gonna fight? Was that him?
I feel like it is, but that is so funny. Like, you're trash and God actually hates you. Oh my God. That is
Bro,
so
like this
funny.
section of reading is so messy. Like
I thought it was really
everybody
good.
is
I mean, it's a
so
good, it's good. It's easy to read though, because it's like, oh, this is
it
like a
is.
real book.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like a book. I'm trying to
I definitely
find,
almost forgot that I was reading the Bible and I was like, wow, I would read this
yes,
book.
yes, I
Like separate from
definitely
the
agree.
Bible.
I'm trying to find where, what happened, but I think I'm getting confused.
Um,
I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember. I didn't write that part down. But after King Abijah of Judah, I forgot what happened with him, but King Asa came into play in 910, and he reigned until 869 BC. So he reigned 41 years. And this is finally a king in Judah, as I said earlier, that did what was right in the Lord's eyes. He banished all the male cult prostitutes. He removed all idols his father made. And he removed his grandmother. His grandmother.
yeah,
That's what something happened with
as
Abijah.
Queen Mother.
Yes, this
Yeah, he was
lady.
like, you gotta go because you made an Asherah pole
Yes, and like a
and I
crazy
love
like
the
image of
Lord.
her too. He he took that image that she made of Asherah and he burned it in the
Hmm.
Kidron Valley.
Yeah.
He burned it. It puts more details in the Chronicles version. It's like
Yeah. He's like, he
it's
cut it up. He
he
like
was
broke
real
it in
mad.
pieces. He was big mad.
Yeah,
He
it
was
wasn't
like,
like he just removed it.
ah, get it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. He was big mad.
Mm.
Bro, everybody is just so dramatic. Like everything that is done is at the highest degree of dramatism.
Mhm, mhm.
Um,
Yeah. A lot of times I think like, do people have like anger issues? But not anger issues, but it's just like y'all really be going all the way off. Like even Elijah, he was like he went off on some little kids. Did we get to that part? We had to have got to that part where he curses the little boys.
oh, that's late. Yeah, that's Elijah.
Yeah,
That
that's
wasn't this
Elijah
reading
for
though.
sure. Yeah, that's like, bro, you didn't have to do that. That was a
They
lot.
came they came for his like prophetism.
They
It
said that
wasn't
they were making fun of him because he was bald.
yeah, but the bald was a sign or a symbol of being a prophet of the Lord. And it wasn't like he was just balding, like he had shaved the top of his
Oh yeah,
head
yeah.
in honor of the Lord. So if you're coming for my symbol of anointing, you gonna
Hey,
die.
I understand. I thought the story was funny. In all
Oh, it's
honesty,
hilarious. They
I
got
thought
beat
that's
up and they
hilarious.
got killed by like girls. They got beat up by girls. That's really
Some
what
girl
it.
bears.
Some girl bears mauled a bunch
Some
of teenage
girl
boys
bears.
for being
Yes.
stupid.
Let me see. The Second Chronicles account of King Asa talks about how he told the people of Judah to seek the Lord God of their ancestors, again, that ancestors word, and carry out the instruction and the commands. Um, the kingdom experienced peace under his rule, and the Lord gave him rest. No one wanted to fight with him because he sought the Lord. So that's a good lesson. If you seek the Lord and you do what he wants, maybe you will have some rest.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's not going to hurt
Mm,
to
it's
try.
not. Um,
Mhm.
I'm trying to find my like notes that I put inside the app
Mhm.
because all of my notes were like, ooh, and he said, ooh, and he said what? And those were my type of notes. So I'm trying to see which okay, you're as of right now, you're in First Kings what? Like what you just read.
Mm.
Or was that in Chronicles?
If it's Chronicles, it's like Second Chronicles 14 maybe. But honestly, now I'm like, where am I?
Yeah, like I'm trying to
Um
figure out where we are because all the names of the kings are lost on me and like the order. So like I have stuff and I have stuff about like, oh, God did this in this time and like think about this, whatever. But when it comes to the kings, just like me in like any history class at all, I do not remember.
Okay, I'm gonna say just based on the I don't know why we're having so much feedback today. It's like the sound does not sound right, but it's okay. I know Second Chronicles 14 talks about Asa, but I'm trying to figure out where we talk about him before that because it has to be somewhere before that. I read it in Kings, but maybe it wasn't in, oh, maybe it was from last week.
So there was like an insurrection at one point. I don't think we've gotten to that one yet. It's with Omri.
We read Omri.
Yeah, but I'm saying like we got to like in our what we're talking about now.
No, I'm really trying to figure it out because in my notes it says revival under Asa, which is in Chronicles, but I'm trying to figure out where did I get my fun facts about Asa from before that because it was in Kings before I saw it in Chronicles, so now I'm just like freaking confused. But I don't know. But Second Chronicles, sheesh.
The title of this is gonna have to be "Who Did What Now?" because like it's so confusing to try to put in order.
First Kings 15, I believe, Asa, and then Second Chronicles 14.
Yes. Okay. I think yeah. Yes. I'm with you now.
I'm with myself. I was really I really still don't really know, but I'm like, you know what? I'm really just going off of my notes.
Okay.
That's all I know.
So then we have the treaty situation, right? So like, King Baasha, that's who I was trying to remember. Baasha, whatever, 2 A's in the middle, Baasha, he was trying to like come for Israel. No, he was the king of Israel and he was trying to come for Judah. And King Asa at the time was like, he's coming for me. So he sent a gift to this king in, what was it? Ben Hadad? No, what was that the king's name? Goodness gracious.
Ben Hadad was the king of Aram.
Yeah, in Damascus.
Yeah.
Because I remember that because I was like, oh, like the, road to Damascus or whatever. It's the same Damascus, just like really earlier. And so like out of the whole thing, like I was like, Asa, why did you try to bribe another place to like help you out instead of just being like, Lord, help me? He said gold and silver to somebody else to say, reject your alliance with King Baasha. He's trying to kill me. You should join me and like kill him instead. And like it worked, sorta, but it was just like, dude, like you just went out of the way when you could have just asked God. Like all of your previous, like your ancestor David would do all the time. Like, why are we having this conversation with 50 million other people? Yeah.
This guy named Hanani like rebuked him though. He told him, he was like, you shouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
That was not your smartest move. You were supposed to depend only on God. And you know what's so crazy? After that, you know how I said before that he had peace, like there was no wars. After that, it was like God was like, war from now on, bro. Don't even worry about it.
You get a war. You get a war.
Yeah, like you want to have a treaty?
I want problems always.
Ain't no treaty. You want to have a treaty? That's fine. You use them for your protection then. But you know what's crazy about Asa, King Asa? He was considered like a good king, I guess, compared to the other ones because he actually did seek the Lord. He didn't worship any He didn't worship Baal, or he didn't, worship
Mm-hmm.
Asherah or whatever. But I feel like he stopped seeking the Lord after that. You know how sometimes, like, when people get rebuked a little bit,
Yeah.
sometimes they just fall all the way off. So in the 39th year of his reign, he developed a disease in his feet. And it got really
Yeah.
bad. And he never sought the Lord about it. He only sought the physicians, and he was just like, I'm done with the Lord. And then he died.
Okay, so like that was something that I highlighted too, and I was like, you have to have God in your medical plans
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I guess the way that it worded it, it was um, like you said, like he only sought the physicians and did not seek God. And to me, when I read it, I was like, oh, it's not that you shouldn't seek physicians. So like, I don't want to go all the way to the other side of it and say that we don't need doctors as Christians, because if we didn't need doctors, then like God being the great physician wouldn't be in our vocabulary. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like God has graced people with the anointing to produce science. You know what I mean? So like it's not like people's brains, not everybody's brain works that way. So God has graced people to be able to work in medicine, and um and you still have to have like God's direction to go to those places, because you can go to the wrong thing or the wrong person and end up in a bad situation or end up needing, you know, more surgery or whatever. Like you could end up in a bad situation, end up worse off than you were before because you decided to just go to a doctor. But instead say, all right, Lord, like, do you want to heal me at my house? Or do you want to heal me in this doctor's office? Because at the end of the day, God is the one doing the healing,
Yeah.
but you have to go like step by step with God to know like where he's trying to be, because it doesn't mean that he didn't heal you if you got healed because you took medicine. That doesn't mean that God didn't heal you. That means that God healed you through the medicine.
Right.
Just because you got surgery doesn't mean that God didn't heal you. God healed you through the surgery because he has already preordained for someone to have created that surgery and done the research for you to be able to walk in and say, oh, my gallbladder burst, I need surgery. Somebody had to discover that. Somebody had to create the procedure. Somebody had to create the tools to do the procedure. Somebody had to test it. There's so many things. For God to have not been involved anywhere in that makes no sense. We just take it for granted because it's readily available. But as we're looking for cures for HIV and AIDS and cancer, it's like we've made strides, yes, but at the end of the day, God is the one doing the healing. So I was like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
that part,
I
because
believe
been
that.
there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
That one
Mm-hmm.
hit me. That one hit me
Yeah.
hard. Like, yes, sir.
Yeah, that really stuck out to me. Um, let's see, who is next? There was a random king of Israel. He did something evil too. King Nadab. Um, he was
Yeah.
actually killed by your boy King Baasha of
Mm-hmm.
Israel. Because there are some instances, y'all, of it's like such and such killed such and such, and then he became king in this place. So it's like now we're not even doing successors and sons. We're just people are conspiring.
Mm-hmm.
So your boy King Nadab was killed, right? He reigned from 1909 to 19 no not 1909 909 to 908 BC, and then King Baasha, I'm gonna call him Baasha. He came in. He killed the entire house of Jeroboam, according to prophecy. Forgot was that Ahijah who prophesied that? Yes. My boy, my blind guy Ahijah. Shout out to my brain for remembering that. Um and he reigned 24 years. He did what was evil inside of the Lord though. So a lot of the times you'll see God using people who do evil, but he'll use them to fulfill like he told somebody they're gonna die, like Jeroboam, we're gonna get to another guy, maybe a couple other guys, and God's gonna be like, I'm gonna kill your whole family. Nobody will be left. But he doesn't do it through like good people all the time. He usually does it through people, bad people. But what's another fun fact about King Baasha, Jehu, son of Hanani, the one who rebuked Asa, prophesied that of the destruction of the house of Baasha. So he's going to get destroyed too. I forgot how. But he does get destroyed. Then we have a few other conspirators. There was a King Ela. He was of Israel, another bad king. He reigned for 2 years. His servant, not necessarily like a servant, like a I forgot what he was, but maybe he was like a soldier, but he was
the commander of the army. Because are we talking about Zimri and Omri?
Yeah, Zimri killed Ela.
Yeah.
Yes, Zimri killed Ela, but then when people found out that he killed Ela and tried to become king, like in like my notes, I have like what year they were, and like Zimri is not even like a year. It just says 885 BC, not to nothing else. So it was
dang.
It was
very that was the insurrection.
Yes. Yeah. So everybody found out, right? And but you know what? This what happened to Baasha. Zimri struck down the entire house of Baasha too, according to
so that nobody else in his line could be king. He was like, "No, I'm gonna be king because I don't like you." And
it's a lot of murder. But when people
discovered how to get away with it.
Yeah, when people discovered it was all a plot and they were like, we don't like Zimri like that, then they found out and they were like, we want to put Omri in, even though there wasn't a general consensus on that either. But Zimri found out that they actually tell you how he died. He was like, they're coming to get me. So he runs into the citadel and he burns it down with himself in it.
Yeah. So there was like, I keep saying insurrection because when I read it, I was like, oh my God, we seen that. So yeah, that's what I was envisioning in my head. People stormed the Capitol, literally the Capitol building, in Samaria. Yes. They stormed the Capitol building. And Zimri was like, I'm a dip. And it was literally like the back house. Like it wasn't in the building that everybody was trying to storm, but it was like he fled or whatever and then burned himself down with the place he was in. And I was like, dang, bro. And then the crazy part was like, this seemed like a democratic election of a king because half of the people wanted Zimri and like the other half wanted Omri, and then the storming of the Capitol, and then like after Zimri died, it was like, well, I guess we'll do Omri because Zimri's dead. So it was like the people were the ones in charge.
They were trying. I feel like at this point, it's like Israel had been begging for a king, and they had a few sturdy kings for a little bit, and now it's almost like they're almost back. It's like the time of kings, but it's like judges' time. Like nobody knows what's going on. Everybody's just doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
There's just no regard for God, idol worship everywhere. But let's not forget I almost forgot about him. Actually, because he could be overlooked. There is a King Tibni of Israel who the people, after the drama of Zimri, some people were following Tibni and some were following Omri, but Tibni died somehow too. And then they said that those who followed Omri were killed. Stronger.
Yeah.
But Tibni, there's not much to say him. But in my Bible study book, it says he reigned for like 5 years, though. But maybe it's because some people were following him, some people were following Omri. So it's like technically he's still a king, but it's like him and Omri were like reigning at the same time, but Omri reigned longer.
Yeah.
He reigned from 885 to 874 BC.
Yeah. And then Omri did bad stuff. He
Yeah.
died.
Omri was the bad guy.
Yeah. And then Ahab
Oh, Ahab,
comes
Ahab was a
next.
bad guy. But is it
Ahab
weird?
was stupid, but
Is it weird
yeah,
that he's one of my favorites though? Even though maybe because they talk about him a lot, but he's
probably.
one of my favorite villains.
Yeah, he gives me the Jafar vibe.
Yeah, he's a villain.
He
But
is a villain.
yeah.
And then and then it goes like it's like meanwhile in Israel. Like it's telling you all
Meanwhile,
about Judah, who died, who goes next. Meanwhile in Israel,
yes, yes.
or
Okay.
meanwhile in Judah, that's what it
Yeah.
was.
Meanwhile in Judah,
King
for a
Ace is
little bit,
up
King Asa
in
was
the
still while all this stuff was happening for
yeah.
a while, King Asa was still reigning, until he died. And then I'm thinking it was his son, Jehoshaphat came into
Mm-hmm.
play in Judah. So to me, it seems like in Judah, their kings lasted a little longer.
Yeah.
It wasn't all this conspiring and doing the most.
Yeah.
We gonna talk about King Ahab is gonna be in our conversation probably a lot, especially when we talk about Elijah. King Ahab married the famous dun 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 Jezebel.
Jezebel.
And I know
First
you
was
church
like,
folks, want to talk about the spirit of Jezebel.
y'all don't even know what you're talking about.
But
Half the time, y'all
Jezebel,
don't even know.
Jezebel was the daughter of Ethbaal, of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians.
Mm-hmm.
She was known. I read this thing today that people always talk about how Jezebel was known to be like people see her as like a harlot or like a prostitute, but Jezebel was a
She wasn't.
witch. Jezebel
Yeah.
was a sorceress. Like she was a very like that's who she was.
She
Jezebel
was a
was a witch.
manipulator, and anything that she could do to manipulate you, if sex was like, if
I mean, I'm sure if
feminine
sex was on
wiles,
the table, she would use it, but there's nothing that explicitly is like, and she lured
yeah,
him with her vagine. Like,
yeah,
no, like she did
it's nowhere.
spells. She worshipped Baal. She did spells. She did witchcraft. She
Her
worshipped high
name
places.
is in tribute to Baal.
Yeah.
Like
It
she was
sounds like
named after
her
Baal.
daddy was named after Baal too.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. So
like
yeah. So if Israel wasn't already worshiping Baal, now they really worship Baal. There's like prophets of Baal in the land. There's prostitutes everywhere in the land. There's high places on every high place you could think.
it said, and I highlighted it because it was like, wow, it seemed like a movie, but it said after he married Jezebel, it says in 1 Kings 16, verse 32, first Ahab built a temple and an altar for Baal in Samaria. Then he set up an Asherah pole. He did more to provoke the anger of God than the anger of the Lord God of Israel than any of the other kings in Israel before him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did the most because you know what's funny when they talk
I was
about his
like, dang,
dad,
bro.
Omri. It says Omri like did more than anybody before, right? It don't say much about him, but then when you get to Ahab, it's like, oh, he did even more. Like y'all thought Omri was
Yeah,
bad.
like
Whew. Omri
this
didn't
ain't
have
how you want to
Jezebel.
one up somebody.
Yeah, Omri. I don't know who Omri's wife is, but he didn't have Jezebel, and Jezebel is, again, it's like when Solomon started marrying foreign women that served other gods. Like you may fall off. To me,
Yeah.
like I've seen people who try to like marry different within like not in their same religion. I don't know how well that's going to work out for you. Somebody's going to get influenced. Now, hopefully it's you bringing them to Christ. But as we see in history, that's not the best move. You
It
might
ain't.
fall to Baal before they fall to Christ. And who has time for
Yeah.
that?
Not
Because
me.
clearly it's enticing. It ain't, they not doing it because you know what I'm saying? Like people
Mm-hmm.
don't do this type of stuff because it's making their life like somehow they're being deceived into thinking their life is better. or something, something is provoking him. But anyway, yeah, my boy
Yeah.
Jehoshaphat was a good one. Another good king for
Mm-hmm.
Judah. Walked in the ways of David, did not seek the Baals, sought God. He actually had an education plan. I don't have details on it, but he was like, I gotta educate
Yes.
the people. He was very into
He
literacy.
yes, he literally I was like crusades, but like
Oh.
non-deadly crusades. I was like, come on, gospel. But the
Mhm.
law is the law, but like the gospel being preached, come on.
Yeah, I
Because
think he was really he really wanted
he
people to know.
installed yeah, like he got a bunch of people together, educated them, and then was like, all right, take the book of the law to all of the surrounding cities. And teach them to love God. And then no one wanted to go to war with him after that because they all found the Lord.
I
And I was like, that's
know.
smart.
Yeah, and I feel like he did probably the best as for the people who we've read about so far.
Yeah.
He was trying his best. He tried to unify with Israel. He didn't want no
Mm-hmm.
beef with them. He had his education plan. He removed the male cult prostitutes. I
Mm-hmm.
believe he removed all the high places and stuff that were still up.
Yep.
That I guess his dad didn't get to, because I think it
Yeah.
said that Asa didn't take down all the high places. I don't know
Yeah.
why, or could be that
Yeah,
he just
me
forgot.
either.
He could just be like, that's too hard to get up there. Just leave him.
Yeah. It literally was like, even though the other stuff was still up, his heart was still like turned towards God. So he was
hmm
like, I feel like he was like, man, the Lord, it don't matter.
The Lord will take care of it.
Yeah, it don't matter.
It's like when you
um,
clean up the whole house, but then you see that like one load of laundry, you're like,
nah,
I've already
I'll
cleaned
get
up
to it,
everything. Leave that for next time.
basically. And one thing that I noticed about Jehoshaphat is that he actually had like military tactics. Like um other kings previously, we didn't really get to hear their like strategies.
hmm
And the first thing out the gate that we find out about Jehoshaphat is that he fortified the city. So like he made sure that Judah was safe against any attack. And so yeah, he got his inner stuff in order and then was like, now go share the word of God to everyone else and then they'll be happy with me.
But yeah, so that's like a little brief introduction. So now we're going to get to the point where Elijah, the Tishbite, is going to enter the scene.
So
Elijah appears suddenly. Like, I feel like who knew this guy before he just appeared?
he just kind of showed up.
He
Like he
showed
did
up.
not have an origin story. He
No,
just
I just know he's the
showed
Tishbite.
up and wanted all the smoke. Like there was no intro of like, yeah, baby Elijah
Mm-mm.
was playing with sticks in the dirt. No.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was so here's the thing. Y'all think Baal is God. I think God is God. Let's test it out.
I love that. Oh, it's one of my favorite stories. I love it.
Bruh.
I love it.
Our boy Elijah. Okay, let me set it up. So he was like, "Yeah, y'all tripping. Baal ain't nothing. And God is everything. So post up and let's bring both our gods to the battle and see who wins." And so they go to the top of Mount Carmel, and he was like, "Okay, uh, like get some wood or whatever." And was it a bull or calf? It was a
It was
yeah.
a it was a bull.
The bull.
They
Okay,
tried
so
to.
yeah, put a bull on the wood and don't put it on fire. Like don't set it on fire. And
Mhm.
pray to your God thing. Um and like
Let me
he
find him
has to
exactly.
set it on fire. And I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna set it up. But you can go first since there's a lot of y'all. Y'all can go first. It's literally what he said. And I was like, bro, you are messy. He was
He's
like, it's a lot of
funny.
y'all. So why don't y'all go first? So they did, and they put all their stuff, whatever, and they start crying out to Bill, like, set fire to the rain, like how much stuff, and like full blown Adele. And um like like they do, they start harming themselves and whatnot. So yeah, they were doing all that stuff or whatever, and like doing extra stuff, hurting themselves or whatever, to try to get Baal to do something. And it had like they did it all night and into the morning. Our boy Elisha came back and was like, maybe he doesn't hear you. Oh, maybe he's going to the bathroom. Oh, actually, maybe he's asleep. You got to wake him up. Matter of fact, he might be on a trip. You might need to wait 3 to 5 business days for him to get back to you.
Yo, and she's like barely exaggerating. Like
all I added was 3 to 5 business days.
1 Kings 18, it starts at 27. It says, at noon, Elijah mocked them. He said, shout loudly, for he's a god. Maybe he's thinking it over. Maybe he has wandered away. Or maybe he's on the road. That is one of my favorite verses. I wanted to post it today, but I was like, nobody's going to know the context. They're going to be like, what are you talking about?
No, but yeah, bro. Hilarious. In my version, in the NLT, it straight up says, maybe he's relieving himself.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, bruh. Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's the first, well, it might not be the first, but it's like an instance that I find in the Bible where it's like somebody is really going in. Like, and not that I want to talk to people that way, but this is like something I would want to say when people like are talking to me about their God. And I just want to be like, well, where is he at? What's going on? Is he asleep? But I'm not alive.
They were like, come on. Like they shouted louder or whatever and like still nothing. And then Elijah was like, come over here. Come here. He dug a hole. So this is not even, it's different than theirs. He dug a hole. He put 12 stones around it. And in the hole, he put the wood and the bull. And then he was like, I want all the smoke. Hand me some water. Bring me some water. And he pours water over it. He was like, watch this.
3 times.
Yeah. He was like, nah, it ain't wet enough. It's still a little dry. Let me.
He poured so much water that the water filled up the hole that he dug.
Yeah. And he was like, God, they don't think you're real. Show them they're wrong because clearly they tripping. And they don't know who you are, but they gonna know today. You gonna learn today. Mm-hmm. And God was like, Bet. He shot down fire, consumed the bull, and drank the water.
Yeah, he was water gone. Gone.
I was like, thank you. I was a little thirsty. That fire, it came from like the piss I thought I needed a drink. He drank the water. And then all of them were like, but
all of them were like, God is real. That's the only reaction you got. I don't want to hear no more excuses. There's nothing. I already told you your God is fake, and stop playing with me. Like I feel like people today, they would still be trying to be like, well, that fire could have came from the global warming. No, stop.
You're reaching.
Just bow down. Just like the Israelites did. What did the Israelites say? They said, what did they say? They were basically like, the Lord is God. Like, that's all. Okay.
Yeah.
You ain't got to tell me twice. I'm good.
And then Elijah led them into the valley and killed them. Because they were like, because, they was tripping for too long. Yeah, the prophets, my bad.
Not
the prophets, not.
They killed all, it was like 450 prophets of Baal that they killed because y'all gotta go. That's just it. All that cutting yourself and doing all that carrying on didn't save you. You should have did better. Yeah. Yeah. And not to mention, there's like a famine in the land at this time. So it's really bad.
Because God said, there ain't gonna be no rain.
Ain't no rain. When Elijah came in there, he was like, ain't no rain till you say it's gonna rain. Or till I tell you it's gonna rain.
Basically. And so ain't no rain. Oh,
when did it start raining again? Because there was something that happened, and then it was like, oh, now it's raining. Was it after this?
It was after this. Yeah. So then so he went to go eat something or whatever. And he was like, I'm going to get something to eat and drink because I hear a storm a brewing. And his servant was like, is it really? And he was like, yeah, go check because it's going to rain. And the servant came back to him and was like, it still ain't raining. And then he was like, go back again. And he looked, and the servant looked, and he was like, still nothing, bro. Dry as bone. And then came back again, and Elijah was like, go look again. And then he saw a cloud the size of a man's fist, and then came back to Elijah and was like, bro, there's a cloud. He was like, I tried to tell him. And yeah, so then he was like, okay, well, this is the most Black response I have ever read out of the Bible. And I'm just going to say this for cultural reasons. He was like, we need to tell everybody to get in their cars and go home because it's about to rain. Yeah. Well, not cars, but chariots.
It's time to
go. It's time to go because it's about to rain. Y'all need to get in your chariots and go back home because it's about to rain. And like, who just thinks to be like, everybody leave? It's about to rain. I don't know. It got me.
I don't know.
I was like, that was the most real, like,
I think when I read that, I was just like, I wasn't confused. I was just like, well, why is this important about the cloud? I was just like, okay. But yeah. But I remember reading it, I was like, why is it the size of a fist? Like, what's happening? But there's a lot that goes on.
Sometimes God's promises start off looking like a fist of a cloud. And then it'd be like, rain. But then it said that God gave Elijah strength, and Elijah did not get in the chariot. He ran and beat Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel on foot.
Yeah, wasn't that kind of weird? When I said, I'm like, Elijah got like superpowers?
Bro, Elijah be having some weird flexes. That's really what it comes at. Like, weird flex, bro. You just ran on foot for no reason. Well, to catch the rain when you could have jumped and carpooled to the entrance.
Hold on, I'm trying to, because this is after Mount Carmel or before?
After. It's literally right after.
Oh, okay.
It's at the end of 18.
Yeah. Yes, it says the power of the Lord was on Elijah, and he tucked his mantle under his belt and ran ahead of Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. And when I read that,
he turned his dress into shorts and cut off running.
But I'm like, he's not an old man. I always imagine Elijah as an old man, but he's not old. But again, he shouldn't be able to run faster than a chariot. So I'm assuming it's some God-given speed, some supernatural speed. Because again, I have theories of Elijah. I don't think he's a regular human being. I feel like God plopped him in there real quick and he plopped him out. He didn't die. We don't know when he was born. He's just a little mystical creature of a person. Like, where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from?
Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Yeah.
Facts.
Like, why can he run so fast? I mean, I don't know. That question doesn't matter to my salvation, but why can he run so fast?
But it did say that God gave him strength to do that. So it wasn't like he ran like that all the time. He literally ran to beat the rain.
He was like a wizard for God. God was like, I'm going to have you do all these things. It was more, because to me, God gave Moses a lot of power, right? He was like, you go be like me, right? Mm-hmm. But even then, you didn't see Moses, like, everything he was doing. They kind of, well, maybe that's how he wrote it. It was kind of like an explanation, like, oh, I put my staff here, or I blew dust in the air, but I mean, I don't know, for some reason, the super speed is what got me. I was just like, my boy is just, I'm imagining him running like almost
the original Flash.
Like barefoot with like a little shawl, but like with his legs out. and
Okay,
just
this
running.
this is
Maybe
what I
Sam.
envisioned him putting his tunic in his belt look like. So you know how there's like the dress, well, not the dress, but the tunic, right? It's shaped like what we know as a dress, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my head was he took the back piece, wrenched it forward, and tucked it, turned them into shorts, and bust off running.
That's almost like a diaper.
Yeah, because it said that he girded. Did he say girded his loins in like the original King James?
I don't know.
So I think he secured his congregation and bust off running.
It's just funny, you know. It's just funny.
It's
just
hilariously
like,
specific.
yeah, yeah. But
it's the after that makes me want to put him in intercessory prayer. So
when uh-huh.
after all of that, he done prophesied rain, saw rain. He done prayed God out the sky to set fire to his, to the thing or whatever in front of all these Baal worshipers. He did that. He prophesied the rain, had the rain come, ran, beat a whole chariot somewhere on foot. And then Jezebel saying that she want to kill you makes you afraid. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I did think that was weird. I did think that was weird because it's like you did what you did. You sunned everybody essentially.
Yeah.
And when Jezebel finds out, she says, "Oh, I'm gonna do you just like you did them. Don't worry." And now you running and hiding in the cave.
And it's like so
it's like
dramatic.
out of character. I feel like it's a little out of character. Like, what's happening, Elijah? What do you mean?
It's like she gonna kill me. Like
because
you
I
weren't
feel
scared
like,
none of the rest of that time.
But what you said about like, okay, like you clearly to me have some type of something, some kind of connection with God, some kind of power that he gives you. So why would you ever be scared of Jezebel when you could really smite her probably with fire or hailstorm or whatever?
And then he's like, I've had enough, Lord. I've had enough. Just let me die. So then he goes to sleep. Hungry. He took a nap.
After he took a nap at 8, he felt much better.
Well, so he took the first nap and the angel woke him up and was like, you just needed to eat. Here's some food. And then he was like, this is, because I be hangry like this too. We all just need a nap and a snack. But anywho, the angel gave him some food and was like, go back to sleep, sweetheart. And then he woke up and he said it again. He was like, I'm tripping. Like, I'm about to die.
But why would he die? Was he dying because he was hungry or just because he was so upset?
Because he was upset.
And hungry? He was hangry?
Yeah, but it said that the food gave him enough strength to travel 40 days and 40 nights to Mount Sinai. Yes. So he's in Mount Sinai, right? He's standing at the bottom and God was like, what do you want? What are you doing here? Literally asked him, why are you here? And Elijah was like, I was just too excited and I said all these things and I was like the Lord and then like the people was just like rude and like they broke covenant with you, so like now I'm afraid because like they're gonna kill me. God was like, sir, he showed him, okay, so this is something really specific. So God told him go out to the edge of the mountain and a windstorm hit, but then it said it was not in the windstorm. A blast that knocked the rocks loose in the mountain happened, but the Lord was not in the wind, or not in the earthquake. There was fire, but God was not in the fire. And then after the fire, there was a sound of a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And a voice said, what are you doing here, Elijah? And he said again, all of that BS from the beginning. But it's the fact that like God showed him all this stuff and he's like, I'm not even in that. That's just the like the reverb of my power. Like that's literally, you're over here freaking out and I'm not even standing there. I'm blinking and you're getting a windstorm. Like I'm not even there. And I'm able to do all of these things. The world that I am holding together is doing all of these things because of me. And I'm not even there. And you coming at me with this BS?
I was wondering why he said the same thing after all that in the voice, and he repeated himself. I should have read a commentary on it, but I was just like, what was the point of
That's what I
him
was like,
repeating
he's
himself
tripping.
just to say the same thing again? But then after that, it didn't seem like the Lord rebuked him. The Lord was just like, all right, this your assignment. I need you to go such and such place. So I was just like, okay, maybe he just wanted to ask him, because even God is like, why are you asking me again what I'm doing here? I'm already here. So I almost felt like it was like God being like, nah, don't be timid. Tell me what you're doing here. I need to know if you understand your assignment or not. Let me know. Do you or do you not understand your assignment? Put a little bass in your voice when you're talking to me. And maybe that's why he repeated it again. Maybe it wasn't, maybe what he said wasn't bad, because what he said was a fact. He's like, I've been zealous for you. The people have abandoned you. And then, I mean, he's telling God what happened like God don't know. But, I mean, that part
Like
makes
he
sense.
heard you the first time. I feel like God did the thing where it's like the kid tells you what's wrong, but they're whining, and he's like, use big boy words.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So then he
Exactly.
like corrects it and says it again. I
Yes.
want juice. Like,
Yes. It's like, calm down, stop crying. What do you need? Like that.
it's like, remember,
Hmm.
you're talking to God. What do you need?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop
Have you
whining.
ever heard that that conspiracy? I don't know if it's a conspiracy, but it's making its rounds on TikTok about how it's like this 40-day fast type of thing, and how Moses was on this mountain, same mountain, for 40 days, 40 nights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like that Elijah traveled 40 days and 40 nights to the same mountain,
Mm-hmm.
and that when Jesus went up that mountain, I believe it was after he fasted for 40 days too, when he took what's his face, Matthew, and who was it else? Is it John? No. Matthew and who? Peter? No. No. Who he take up to the mountain with him? And he transfigured in front of
Peter,
them.
James, and John.
It was all okay. So there was
No,
a
it was just
theory
Peter,
that,
James, and John. It wasn't Matthew.
oh, so that story's in John, not in Matthew.
I think it's
It
in
must be.
John because it was
It's
Peter,
it's in
James, and
whoever
John.
was there. It's in whoever was their book. That's what I know. Um, but I get them confused. Okay, but the theory is that all these things, like, remember when Jesus transfigured in front of everybody and Elijah and Moses were there? There's a
Mm-hmm.
theory that, because God is like transcendent of time and time is like not real, that all these things happened at the same time. And so when Elijah went to the mountain, when he heard God, he was talking to Jesus. And then even when Moses went to the mountain, when he was talking to God, he was talking to Jesus. It's a theory on TikTok, which is like, I see where you were going. I see it. It sounds like it could be
Because then that
cool.
would mean that time is not linear but stacked, which I'm already kind of on personally. Um,
I'm not against it. I think it could be true.
because
But
also the years went backwards, but no one's talking about time being not linear.
yes, it's like the years go down till you get to zero and then we start again. Why? Why is it like that? Why isn't BC like 0 to whatever and then we start over after
Like
Jesus' death
who
and we
picked
start again at 1?
like who picked the arbitrary number to start with to then go
Somebody
backwards?
somebody did it to try to make sense of stuff, but like I keep telling people, time is not like our constructs of time are not real. A minute
Because
doesn't
then
no, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't
is it
matter.
Because then is it like the theory of relativity? Like if you were to go into space and revolve around the Earth at the speed of light, it would be a different time length than what's actually happening on Earth.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
you would be your time would be slowed down, and you wouldn't age as fast as everyone else, or like time wouldn't have happened as fast as what's happening on Earth. So I feel like time is relative, but
Yeah,
during
exactly.
relativity, time is
Especially to
relative.
God. God exists outside of time, so it's just like,
God is time. He's the beginning and the end, the first and the
yeah,
last. Like he is. Like he literally just is time and space.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that little theory, no one can prove it, of course, but I've heard it a couple times,
But it
and I
has a little weight.
and I was just like,
It doesn't sound that crazy.
it don't sound too crazy. Like that's crazy though. Like if that's true, that's like, wow. Like that makes the Bible even more exciting to me.
It does.
Like, because it proves that Jesus is God.
Yeah.
If
It
that's
reminds me of Once Upon a Time, which I just got finished binging, and
the show,
they
I used to watch
yes,
that show when it was
watched the
current.
whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time thing where they got put into another realm in another time period.
Yeah.
And then like their Henry, which is an adult Henry with a wife and kid, is talking to his younger self because they got put back in time from their time. Yeah, that is all happening at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Merging
I don't know
together
who
into
made
a
up that
time
theory,
knife.
but they were thinking long and hard about that. But I mean, when you read it, I mean, I can see how you can come to the conclusion. You're like, wait, because there's always these repeated numbers: 40 days, 3 days, 7 days. Those are like that's like the a theme you see, especially fasting for 40 days. So it's like, I'm wondering, and I think somebody else who's talked about it too. They were like, maybe when you fast for 40 days, you have like this moment, like this you like this transcendent type of. I mean, I don't know if anybody's fasted for 40 days. I surely have not. But no
Not
food for 40
completely.
days, you may see God.
Along with some other stuff.
You might. But yeah, that was just my little random thing.
Yeah.
We just talked about Elijah's encounter with God, that God
Yes.
was speaking in a whisper. I've heard sermons about that where it's like, all these crazy stuff can be happening to you or around you. But you have to be in tune to hear like that whisper, because you can think that God is going to talk in this big booming way, and he can talk. He could really just, say something very quiet and like a very still voice that you have to be in tune to. Otherwise,
You will miss it.
you might miss it.
Yeah.
At that time.
We skipped over the whole like Ravens situation and the widow and the son, but everyone's kind of heard those stories.
We did. The summary basically is before the thing at Mount Carmel, when Elijah enters the scene, he stays with this widow. The widow doesn't have any. It's a famine, right? So she's actually about to prepare their last meal. She's preparing their last bread and something else. And he's like, "Hey, I need you to make me a loaf of bread." And she's like, "Bruh, I don't have anything. Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
She makes it anyway, though. She was obedient, even though she didn't want to. She was like, "All right, something about you, I'm gonna make it." But in her obedience, she like had a lot of food. She had food to eat, but then her son ended up getting sick, and he dies. He has a breathing problem. He starts breathing real hard. He dies, probably pneumonia, I'm gonna think. And Elijah resurrects him. I was looking at the devotional Jesus and all of First Kings, and they said this was the first resurrection in the Bible. But why did I think Samuel resurrected somebody?
Because he came back from the dead.
Who?
Samuel.
I don't remember Samuel coming back from the dead, but I thought
Not
it was
coming back from the dead, but like Saul talked to him after he was dead.
Well, not that one, but I thought that there was an instance of Saul and a widow and her son. That didn't happen? Or was he just sick? Maybe he didn't die. He just got healed.
I
Not
think he
Saul,
was just
Samuel.
sick.
Samuel. I thought Samuel.
I think he was just sick.
Okay, maybe he was just sick. It reminded
Yeah, because
me.
I don't remember Samuel resurrecting anybody.
No, he must have the kid just must have been sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this apparently is the first resurrection in the Bible.
And
So
before Elijah got to the widow's house, so this is after Elijah told King Ahab that God is gonna like there's not gonna be any rain until I tell you that there's gonna be rain, until God tells me and I tell you that there's gonna be rain. And right afterwards, God sends him to this like tree next to this brook or whatever. And God was like, I'm gonna feed you. Don't freak out. And he sends ravens to feed him every morning and evening. And I heard somewhere that ravens don't return to the place that they've left. So the fact that these ravens kept coming back to give him food was a miracle.
oh wow.
Because ravens don't return home.
Mm-hmm.
But then then the food and the brook dried up. And I'm like, but God sent him there.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped and I put the note like, what do you do when where God sends you dries up?
Oh wow.
Because like I've been in multiple situations like that where it's like, but God, like you sent me here and this is supposed to sustain me while everything else is like doing whatever, and you've been sustaining me all this time. Why all of a sudden I'm not getting anything out of this situation anymore? Why all of a sudden am I lacking in this situation? Like, why am I starving? Why am I thirsty? Why is this not hitting like it used to hit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you be there. And then literally, I just kept reading, and like the next sentence was the answer. And it was the fact that it's because God had already prepared the next place. So like it dried up because you have to move.
Time to go. Mm-hmm.
It's time to move. And God has already gone before you to impress upon the hearts of the people that you are to help next, because God had already been working on that widow.
Mm-hmm.
to tell her that like somebody's coming or whatever, because it said like that's literally what it said. And when Elijah got there, it was like this specific widow. It wasn't just like, oh, find a widow and her son. Like it was go to this lady's house and she will feed you. And he's like, can you give me some water while you getting some water? Oh, by the way, can you give me a cake too? Like, can you give me some bread too? And she was like, no, I ain't got none. Why I gotta give you some? But it's like she said, she kept saying the Lord, your God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I never noticed that. But she only referred to God as Elijah's God. He was never her God.
Yeah. And I noticed too that she didn't really believe, like she did what he asked, but it wasn't until after he raised her son from the dead that she was like, you are a man of God.
Man of God. Yeah.
Like now she believes. Now it's like, oh no, God is real and he sent you in real life, because my son was dead. He was dead for real. And you brought him back to life. And you didn't even have to, really. Like, you know what else I thought was interesting that she said? When her son died and she goes to Elijah and she's like, bruh, like, what you come here for, just to like reveal my sin? Like, she's like, you revealing my iniquities and now you killing my son. Like, what's up? Like, I didn't ask for all that. I didn't ask you to come. I was about to just die in my sin with my son and we would just go eat our last meal and be happy. So her little journey that we kind of get a little peek into was interesting to me. I did stand out.
And like Elijah thought he was just going to get some food and he was being sent somewhere on assignment. He didn't know what the assignment was yet until he got there and was like, oh, God got you, bro. Yeah. Now can I have some food?
I still feel like God just plopped them in there somewhere. I don't know why, but I'm just like, I don't know where you came from, but you came.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What else do we have to talk about? We still got a little bit. Your boy Ahab still running amok. He wanted to buy this vineyard, and I want to mention the vineyard because it's funny later. So Ahab wants to buy this vineyard from this guy named Naboth, and apparently Naboth is not a fan of Ahab. So Ahab's like, "Hey, let me buy your vineyard. I want to use it for a garden." And Naboth's like, "Absolutely not. I will never sell anything to anyone that's even like has anything to do with you." And this really makes Ahab mad, but he doesn't do anything. Like, this is how I know Jezebel was running out of that kingdom. Because Ahab was like, he just went to go pout in his bed about it. And Jezebel comes in, she's like, "Why are you acting weird?" And he's like, "Man, Naboth won't give me his vineyard. I tried to pay him for it and everything." And she's like, "Oh, word?" She's like, "You know what, baby? Don't worry about it. Just go to sleep. I take care of it." So she wrote like some letters in Ahab's name that basically like tell all the people like Naboth gotta go. So let me see. I actually wrote in my notes. It was First Kings
She sets
21.
up. She sets up his like. She frames him.
Yeah,
So
she frames him.
yeah,
Exactly.
she
She
gets like
frames him.
all of these officials or like important people to come and eat, and then sat these two sub actors basically across
Mm-hmm.
from him and staged this thing where supposedly he stole something.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah. What I see here it says it says
oh, that he
in the
don't like
letter she
God.
wrote, proclaim a fast and seat Naboth at the head of the people. Then seat two wicked men opposite him and have them testify against him, saying, "You have cursed God and the king." Then take him out and stone him to death. So it's almost like she kind of, it's weird that she would put in the letter to say that he cursed God when she don't believe in God. Or does she mean her God? Because
It
it's a
was
big G.
capital.
It's a big
It was
G.
a big G.
So she manipulated the situation, manipulated people's feelings because she don't care about God at all.
That's why it was easy for her to
Um,
say that he cursed God. She don't
it,
care.
and it's so like, do she need to do all that because your husband can't get the vineyard he wants? Another overreaction. Boo, you doing too much. You are writing fake letters to a man. I don't even know if you know him because your husband was pouting like a baby because he can't turn the vineyard into his garden. I don't have to sell you my vineyard, sir. You need to get over it, whether you the king or not. But after this happens, God judges Ahab yet again. He's like, "Ahab, I've been trying to like give you some grace here, but you keep doing dumb stuff. So because of all the dumb stuff you've done and because of your wife, you're going to die in that vineyard." See, Naboth is dead. Guess what? You're not going to get to enjoy the vineyard. You're going to die there, and the dogs will lick up your blood. They will lick it up. And spoiler alert, this will be next week, but Jezebel's going to die there too. But her death is better. I'll wait to tell you guys that story.
Not her
But
death is better.
if you want to read ahead, you should read Second Kings 9. If you want to read about the death of Jezebel. It was prophesied before. It's prophesied, but we will talk about it next week because I don't want to jump ahead and I want to keep this week's content for this week. What else do we have? There's more kings, you know. Oh yeah, Jehoshaphat had an alliance with Ahab. Did we talk about that already? That
Mm-mm.
was to me Jehoshaphat's downfall. What are you trying to align with Ahab for? Ahab is evil. Ahab is not who you want to consort with. And
Like
Jehoshaphat, you
just
were
because
actually
everybody love you, don't mean everybody love you, dude.
like you're an upstanding gentleman, and you are trying to. But you know what I love about Jehoshaphat? So he's like that guy at school that he wants to like be with the kids that's bad because he thinks it's cool, but he's like, "Don't you think we should ask an adult?" So they're they Oh, Ahab goes to Jehoshaphat, and he's like, bruh, I need to go to war against such and such. Will you come with me? Will you join, brother? And Jehoshaphat's like, I might, but I think we should inquire of the Lord first. And I and I was
Bruh.
like, yes, Jehoshaphat, you better inquire of the Lord. And he was very adamant about it. He was always like, look, like that's the way you're supposed to do it. You don't just go to war, bro. You got to ask God. But Ahab's looking like, well, I asked Baal. He ain't saying nothing, but okay. So then he's like, okay, inquire of the prophets or whatever. But they didn't have like they had, I'm assuming, just prophets of Baal, or maybe it was prophets of the Lord, but they were being deceived somehow because
So they weren't prophets of the Lord
they
because
weren't, right?
Elijah came back and was like, I'm the only one.
Yeah, but then there was a guy, there was a prophet, his name was like Micaiah or something.
Micaiah, yeah, because he was one of the ones that was at Obadiah had
Had
like hid in the
Yes,
caves when Jezebel was out killing them.
right. So Jehoshaphat's like, they don't have one man of God around here. Like, you ain't got one. He's like, well, there's this guy named Micaiah, but every time I ask him to prophesy something for me, he got something bad to say. So he's like, I don't really want to hear from him. And Jehoshaphat was like, you gonna hear from him today. Go get him. And so all the other prophets are telling them, go to war. The Lord say, go to war. And when Micaiah comes, Micaiah says at first, because I think he's thinking, oh, he just want to hear, I ain't about to
In
tell
my
him nothing because,
translation, it says he said it sarcastically.
yeah,
Go to war.
he's like,
Go
sure,
get
dude,
it.
I don't even want to
Sure.
be here. Just do whatever you want to do. And then they're like, we know you lying. What is really the deal? And he's like, well, actually, you probably shouldn't go to war. You go die, and all these people, the Lord has sent a lying spirit to deceive you. Actually,
Yes, I highlighted that so quick. I was like,
hmm let me tell you something. In my mind, because this is that same thing when God sent a spirit on Saul, which was a tormenting spirit, and it's like it kind of is weird because you're like, God is sending bad spirits. Why? But I just think he's in charge, man. Like, I don't think it's like these two separate spiritual realms where it's like there's God and the angels here, and then there's the devil and his demons here,
even
and
Satan
they're
serves God.
yeah, even and they're just in their separate camps. Nah, uh,
Mm-mm.
all of it is really it's hard for me to explain because if you tell somebody like, say somebody is possessed by a demon, it's hard for you to say like, oh, God sent the demon, right? Because he
Right.
might not have, but he can if maybe it's going to teach somebody a lesson, maybe. Or I don't know.
So
It's hard to really, talk about but I think if God want to send a lion spirit, he can.
in my head, that kind of just like stuck there. Is there a difference between a lying spirit and a demon?
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever the Pharisees were trying to say that Jesus was possessed and he was working for Satan or whatever, like the power that he had came from Satan, um, Jesus came back and was like, how are we of the same kingdom if I can cast you out? Like any demon that Jesus casted out, it was like, how can someone of it like in the same house cast out someone else if we're
Mm-hmm.
part of the same team?
Okay. Yeah.
Because then we would be divided, right? So I wonder if what we know as demons are different than the spirits of these quote unquote negative emotions or negative um,
Mm-hmm.
attributes of people. So like,
Yeah.
because since we're talking about Jezebel or whatever, the spirit of Jezebel, it doesn't just happen to women. Men could have a spirit of Jezebel too, just like the spirit of Korah. So these are things that are like, their disposition almost.
I was about to say, do you think that when they say spirit, it's more like thoughts, like God could put thoughts in your head, just like,
Mm-hmm.
the devil could put thoughts in your head because the mind is like, it's a crazy place where your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
brew. So I'm wondering if the lying spirit or a tormenting spirit is just like your thoughts almost, or if it, or is it like actually, like what would be the difference if it's not a thought between a spirit and a demon, or a spirit and an angel, or like what is the difference?
Yeah, I'd have to look into that
I
because
do too. It's interesting though.
there is a difference between our spirit and angels because
Mm-hmm.
we're not the same and we don't become angels when we go to heaven. So there has to be a difference between spirit and angel because our spirits are different than angels. So there
Mm-hmm.
has to be some kind of difference or some line that changes it
Yeah.
from being, yeah. So it's like when we talk about the spirit of Korah and the rising up against authority and, wanting it to be the you show, that type of thing or whatever, that gets talked about. It was in Hebrews 11. Um, uh, like it's not like Korah wasn't possessed by a demon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when people say the spirit, you can have the spirit of Jezebel, the spirit of Korah, I feel like it's not that this person is prancing around putting their spirit on people. It's just like you have the thoughts and actions of that person right now. Not necessarily
Yeah,
that you are possessed by Jezebel because
right,
she's dead.
right.
She's
And demons
decapitated.
aren't omnipresent. So if that was the case, then there would have to be an infinite number of Jezebel
Jezebel.
demons.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
But the spirit is. So like the spirit realm is. So it's not, I don't think I think the spirit of someone explaining like you were saying, like it's the disposition of the person, it's the attributes of that person
Mm-hmm.
that caused their downfall half the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the essence
Yeah.
of the being.
Yeah, I was trying to find a TikTok about Jezebel to post on the Instagram. Shout out our Instagram. We're like at 100 some followers. Keep following us. Thank you. But everything was about the Jezebel spirit, and I just was like, you know what? All y'all be talking about a bunch of stuff that I ain't
If
trying to
you
say.
want to watch something about the Jezebel spirit, I suggest watching, is it Mercy Culture? I think it's Mercy Culture's um, sermon on the Jezebel spirit. He goes through like all of the different attributes that are presented when someone is exhibiting the spirit of Jezebel, um, or a Jezebel spirit rather, um, and explains like how they are seen or how they are revealed in life. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, huh, that's interesting. I have been in situations where I'm really confident about something and someone comes to me and says one thing and I immediately feel like I'm like in a puddle of dirt and don't know who I am, just by their one question. Like that is a very manipulative spirit. Like the spirit of them is very manipulative. Like what they carry around, like who just their essence is just very manipulative.
Yeah. I wonder how people know so much about her though. Like from what I read, and I think I'm up to date on my reading. I think I already read about how she died, and I didn't get a lot of details of, I feel like I can assume that she manipulated her husband. I can assume different things just based on her like interactions with her
Mm-hmm.
husband, her interactions with Elijah, how enraged she sounds, how she kind of sounds like she runs this. But I don't know how anybody can know for sure that she was manipulative.
I wonder if there are other scriptures that
That talk about
reference
her.
it, like
Yeah.
Korah. Because I mean, if you haven't read that part of what is it, Exodus, then you would never know. Like that scripture would just be lost on you.
Yeah, we have to see as we keep going. I want to see if we find any more references to Jezebel, because at this point, I'm just like, all I can gather is that she practices witchcraft
Mm-hmm.
and she worships idols and she wears makeup. And we're gonna figure out that she wears makeup when she dies, and that's the only time they talk about it. They say that she's painting her face. Why? I don't know. It was it really makeup, or was she like going war paint on them because she knew it's about to go down? It just said she painted her face. It's just like little things like that. I'm like, how do y'all even know all this stuff about this lady? She was evil, yes. In my opinion, every witch I know has the spirit of Jezebel. She's a witch. Everything other than that, I don't know what she really did. I
Yeah.
don't know her spell books. I don't know how bad she really was. But I mean, it
Yeah.
said she was bad. If they say King Ahab was bad, she was really bad. But I just don't know. I wish I knew more, because she's an interesting character for sure. I don't think I have any notes after that. We do go into Second Kings. There was some stuff there, but I may just talk about it next week. When I remember if it was muy importante.
Same.
Other than that, if you made it to the end of this episode, if there are any audio issues, I apologize. On my end, I'm hearing them. I'm hoping I don't hear them on the recording, because I don't know why it bothers me. And then hopefully we fix it before next time, because it was kind of throwing me off while we were talking. But anyway, make sure you did all the stuff. Make sure you clicked all the buttons. Make sure you're tuned in. We may have a church bulletin for you this week. Yes, it'll drop.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Saturday.
If we do, it'll drop Saturday. We'll probably be talking about, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about something.
Yeah.
And yeah, hit all the buttons, do all the stuff. Follow us on Instagram. Keep supporting. We're up to like an audience of like 19 people, which is exciting, because it used to just me and Vic listening to our own podcast. So yeah, that is all. We hope to see you next week. We hope that this was not too confusing of an episode for you, because we were confused sometimes too.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you next time.